Ever since I can remember, I have had an interest in video games. But it wasn't until this last year, 2020, that I really got into trophy hunting for the PlayStation. I've always been obsessed with the concept of getting a platinum trophy, but I never just had a game where I really just wanted to just get that trophy. I usually just play the story and then I'm done with the game. But due to having more free time, I just decided that this was going to be the year I start getting platinums, and I am currently up to 6 platinum trophies. My most recent platinum is a game called Vampyr. So without further ado, here is my platinum experience for Vampyr. Vampyr is a game that came out in 2020 by the developers Dontnod Entertainment. You might recognize them as the creators of Life is Strange and Remember Me. To be completely honest, this game slipped my radar when it first came out in 2018, and I didn't actually hear about this game's existence until a month or two ago when I played Life is Strange on my stream. However, I was really pleasantly surprised when I saw that Vampyr was going to be free for October on PlayStation Plus. I first tried playing this game on stream in the spirit of Halloween, but it really didn't go over so well with my smaller audience, just most people didn't find it interesting or captivating enough, so I decided to play it off stream. And I ultimately decided it was a game worth getting a platinum for. I was able to beat the entire game in about 7 days is really all the time I spent with it. I'm not sure how many in-game hours I have since the save file doesn't actually track a time. So at the beginning of the video, I do want to go ahead and say my rating for this game. I do rate this game a 7 out of 10. It's a really enjoyable game. There are some issues with it, but honestly, it's well-rounded and deserves a 7. The difficulty for getting the platinum is pretty low. I'd say a 3, if not a 4, maybe 3.5. It's not too high. This is a pretty easy platinum to get. It's just a little time consuming in places, but it's well worth it. Quick disclaimer, this video does contain spoilers for the story of Vampyr, so if you are still interested in playing this game, getting the platinum for yourself, then I'll let you know, but near the end, the video will have spoilers. Right at the beginning, you find yourself as Dr. Jonathan Reed, who's just returning from the war of 19-whatever, coming home to a London that is being ravaged by the Spanish flu. In the opening cutscene of the game, you can see him getting bit by a vampire, and he wakes up in a mass grave with a thirst for blood. You quickly find out that an extremely large population of the city actually knows vampires exist and are trying to hunt you right off the bat. In his escape, you end up meeting with a doctor, and you're offered a perfectly convenient position of being a surgeon for the Pembroke Hospital. This leads you into basically the main gameplay loop, which is you have to actually care for the sick. And I really, really like the concept that in a Vampyr game, you're trying to heal people. And it's a really cool twist that I wasn't expecting because I kind of went into this game blind. But essentially, you do have to worry about the health of everybody, or you honestly just don't level. My favorite part of Vampyr is the fact that you can choose how quickly you level up. The more people you kill, the more blood you drain, the more powerful you get. But the more you know about the person and the healthier that person is, the more experience they give you. So if you take the time to heal people and learn their secrets, you can level insanely fast. But one of the main trophies in this game is to actually do a no-kill playthrough. And that is the most difficult part about this trophy, is because you stay under-leveled the entire time. When I arrived to the boss fight at the end of Chapter 2, I was 12 levels below the boss, and it took me so many tries. It was so frustrating. However, when you're not spending all of your time talking to different citizens, you're out actually fighting vampires or vampire hunters, and the combat's good. I enjoyed it. It's a little flat, but overall it's good. You have different options. You can either be a straightforward melee attacker, or you can use a gun. I will be honest, my entire time spent with this game, I didn't fire a single gun because I didn't really feel the need to, and I didn't essentially want to. Even if you do a purist run where you are under-leveled the entire game, you can still take down the most powerful opponents just by mastering the combat mechanics, and I do like that. Though it does feel a lot of the fights in the later game when you're super under-leveled is just you dodging most of the time, but it's still good. I was a fan of the combat. Let's talk about the trophy list. So there's 29 trophies in total, and it's a pretty good spread. A lot of the trophies are based around the decisions you make in the game and progressing through the story and defeating bosses. There are trophies based around collecting items, which was the bane of my existence. I actually struggled a lot with collecting all of the items in the game, and that's due to me following a guide that actually made it impossible for me to collect all the items. So I did have to revert to a previous save to fix my mistake once, and that was a little frustrating, but at the end of the day, I still got the trophy, so I can't complain.
My father always said, even those few who offer help always want something in return. And he was right.
There is one trophy in this list that I especially love, and it's Life is Strange. And it's a really, really good nod towards their Life is Strange series because you have to water a plant named Lisa, which is the exact same thing you do in Life is Strange. And it really was like a cool connecting moment for me.
And it needs a name. I shall call you Lisa.
Let's talk about what's good and what's bad for this game. Overall, the story was great, and I don't want to talk about that until the end of the video, but I will say that I was thoroughly engaged in the storyline, and, well, there was a lot of, like, the side characters that I kind of just didn't care about and found myself just wanting to skip through their dialogue. I will say dialogue overload was one of the biggest downfalls for this game. Not all of those 64 NPCs can be interesting, and I get that, but some of them just wouldn't stop talking, and I just found myself skipping every single thing that they had to say. Now, another negative thing is this game wasn't without glitches. There were some pretty amusing games, but I also had some game-breaking ones. During my recording for this game, I had 5 separate crashes that forced me to reload a save. Every single one of those crashes, I believe, was due to me running faster than the game could load. Essentially, if you sprint from one side of the map to the other side of the map and then try to talk to somebody, the game crashes, and I believe it's because the dialogue is the last thing the game loads, and if you get to an NPC before their dialogue has loaded, you crash the game. I was able to actually replicate this glitch, so I do think my guess of what's causing it is accurate. And that actually brings me to the biggest negative thing about this game was the load times. I spent so much time in a loading screen, I swear, and what frustrated me was how long it took to load a small room versus loading the entire big map. You could enter a small 1-bedroom building and it would take the same amount of time at that load screen than it takes to enter the biggest part of the game. And I don't really get why. I feel like they could have streamlined the loading a little better, but it's also PS4 with a hard drive, so I get that it can't be as fast as what we're going to be used to with the PS5, but still, I'm ready for load times to be gone because I spent a lot of time at a loading screen for this game. So now we are reaching the part of the video where I need to warn everybody that spoilers are ahead, and if you are interested in playing this game for yourself, then maybe now is time to click away. As I mentioned earlier, the main character ends up working at a hospital, and that's where he meets another vampire her name is Lady Ashbury, and she's essentially a good vampire. She cares about helping the sick, and she only takes the life of people who are going to die. She basically does assisted suicide by draining their blood. And so she's living off the blood of sick people. which I do like that. That's a cool concept. I did expect her to end up being evil at the end of the game, but that's actually not the way the game decided to take it. Instead, the main character and Lady Ashbury have a weirdly, incredibly fast relationship development where they fall in love with each other after knowing each other for only a couple days. And maybe when you're a vampire, you just know, but it felt like they moved way too quickly.
Jonathan, promise me you'll be careful.
Of course. But why the fear in your voice?
Look at me, Jonathan.
I am.
I mean, really look at me, young Ekon.
Is this Vampyr second base? So during your investigations into who sired you and curing the Spanish flu, you end up realizing that the Spanish flu and the vampire epidemic are actually connected, and essentially they're the same disease. The true source of the disease is the blood of hate. So the blood of hate is essentially just the oldest vampire in the world. She's known as the Red Queen, and she's the origin of all vampires, the mother of all vampires. And she ends up being the final boss, and it's actually a pretty decent boss fight. I enjoyed it.
Is this the dream?
I'm awake.
Is this anger I feel? Is it wrath? I think it is. Oh, how infinitely, how intensely, how irredeemably are you all going to suffer now?
I did have to beat it twice, and it was really difficult when I was underleveled. But then playing it again at max level, it was so easy I could just wipe her right away. You find out that Elizabeth is the original carrier of the blood of hate, which she's had since the previous epidemic that happened in 1666.
I have destroyed the disaster, this creature that Harriet Jones had become. The epidemic is no more, and London will recover. In time.
Yes. You did well, Jonathan. You truly saved the city.
Yes, we did. Despite all obstacles. I'm truly convinced we did it together, Elizabeth.
I cannot bear knowing I was the cause of all this. Through the use of my own blood.
No. This catastrophe was the result of unethical experimentation. And the will of a creature so inexplicably evil, she exceeds all the terrible wonders I have seen since my death.
But it was my blood all along. My corrupted blood of hate. The poisoned blood of my father. A healthy carrier. That's all I am.
If you played as a good guy and you didn't kill anybody, then you and Elizabeth essentially live happily ever after, and you find a cure for her.
We'll run away, go to the deepest forests, the highest mountains. Untouched by man, we'll hide in solitude until I find a cure.
Do you trust me then?
Until the end of the world, my love.
One prayer for the summoned, called by this song. Child born from darkness, whose path he must find. Now the song is sung and your path chosen. England is safe, for you have prevailed. I wish you a peace duly earned for the centuries yet to come. And they will come. I bid thee farewell, my champion bittersweet. My queen sleeps once again, and I'll soon join her slumber. Until alas she rises, woken by the hunger never fed.
But if you were bad and just murdered everybody, then she doesn't trust you, and she commits suicide right in front of you, and you don't care. And honestly, that was so haunting to me, the way he just didn't care. It was really cold.
I can't stand it.
Who cares? We are vampires. We are death.
No, Jonathan. I won't bring another disaster into this world.
I can't lose you, Elizabeth. Even if it means putting the whole world at risk.
How can you say such an awful thing? Where is the Jonathan I once saved from a scowl in this abandoned factory?
I'm not that frightened man anymore. I've learned so much. Done so much.
I see. So there is nothing worth living for in this world anymore. Farewell, my love.
Farewell.
One prayer for the summoned, called by this song. Child born from darkness, whose path he must find. Now the song is sung and your path chosen. England is safe, the price paid most dear. But what do you care? You are the one who keeps killing. You've chosen your path, my fallen champion, like others before you. Prey to lust and desire, slave to the everlasting thirst. My queen sleeps once again, and I'll soon join her slumber. Until alas, she rises, woken by the hunger never fed.
Please let me know down in the comments below what you thought of this game. Have you played it before? Is this a platinum that you got? Thank you all for watching, and see you in the next one.